The UK is experiencing a rise in numbers of positive COVID cases, but over the next few days, many restrictions will be lifted. The reason for that is a large proportion of the population is vaccinated. Joining me now is the Chief Executive Officer of the British Chamber of Commerce here in Australia, David McCredie. A very good morning to you, David.
Morning, Tim. Good to see you again.
You too. And look, we've seen these numbers over 50,000 and other parts of the world concerned about the opening up. What's your take?
Yeah, look, I think we all want to see some sort of normality return, and the UK have obviously mapped out over the last few months a road path, a map to get to that point. But I think what we're seeing with the Delta variant is far more transmissible variant, and that has obviously led to an increase in cases. I think it's really important to note that the UK has been incredibly successful with their vaccine rollout, with 87.6% or over 46 million people having got their first jab and over 35 million having got their second jab. So they're in a really strong place. And what we've seen in the last few days and last couple of weeks is a return to the sort of case numbers that we saw back in January, February time when they went into their hard lockdown again at the beginning of the year. And we've seen it drop off since then, but the case numbers are worryingly high again, around that same 50, 60,000 daily number. But the really pleasing thing is, whilst hospitalisations have increased as well, not nearly to the same extent as previous. So the vaccines are clearly doing some of that lifting that we would hope, but it's probably a little bit higher, I think, than what the health officials would actually really like. And certainly we're hearing a lot of disquiet from doctors in the UK about just being concerned about whether or not full relaxation of measures will lead to a real spike like we saw in the first peak, and concerns about hospitals being able to manage. I should say there's only about 4,000 people, and when I say only, this is a relative term for the UK, only 4,000 people in hospital with COVID-related illnesses. About 550 of those are ventilated. So when you translate that back to an Australian situation, that they're in a far worse place than us, yet are far more towards that opening up and relaxation that you suggest they're going to take on Monday.
There is a percentage of the population that are resisting vaccination, though, and that is part of the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it is. And I think similar to what we've seen in terms of New South Wales and the outbreak here in Western Sydney, where different cultures, different language groups haven't necessarily got all of the information and aren't really engaged with the government messages around vaccination. And I think that's where some of the stumbling blocks are. But also there are people who are just conscientious objectors who don't want to get a vaccine. They're not convinced by the health benefits that are being shared by others, and indeed being spooked by government. They're sceptics, and we live in a democracy where personal choice about what medications you take is part of the opportunity of living in a free society.
I think a lot of people are gripping to sport at the moment. Of course, the Open Championship on at the moment. Louis Oosthuizen is leading the way. But give us your thoughts on basically the Euros, because they went well from an organisational perspective, a capacity crowd at Wembley. The result wasn't the way that England wanted it to go. And look, the scenes and some of the commentary on social media are pretty ugly afterwards.
Yeah, look, I think as somebody who's followed English football for an awfully long time, back into the 90s, England has an amazing ability to find a way to lose in big games. I think the nerves get the better of them, and unfortunately, penalty shootouts is a way that they've found to go out of many a tournament in recent, basically since 1966. So it probably wasn't surprising if you'd asked somebody a month ago, do you think England will go out in penalties? They probably would have said yes. Absolutely heartbreaking for the people who miss. Gareth Southgate, obviously, having missed his own penalty back in the day when he was a player, as manager, hopefully will be able to help the young blokes who missed to to get on with life and have another crack at it in the World Cup, which will be the next opportunity for them.
Yeah, but some of the racist comments on social media and just disgraceful, absolutely disgraceful. And unfortunately, it's really difficult for authorities to do anything about it because they hide behind what is pretty much coward's castle in social media.
Yeah, look, I definitely agree. These guys are professional footballers. They are all capable of taking penalties, and it has absolutely nothing to do with skin colour. It has nothing to do with anything else. It's just at the moment you step on the pitch, you take a shot, you either score or you don't. Any suggestion that has anything to do with anything other than that moment and the luck of the draw at that point in time, whether the keeper guesses the right way, all of those things, that's part of the beauty of sport. And unfortunately, that's the way it works. Social media, Tim, you and I have had this discussion many times. Most of the stuff that's on there is just vile and vitriolic, and it doesn't really contribute to anybody feeling better about themselves. And I encourage anybody who wants to use social media as a judging point of their own lives or of what's real in the world to possibly get off social media and look at the real world for a change.
Finally, the trade agreement. Where are we at there? You got an update for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Progressing really well, Tim. The negotiators haven't rested on their laurels after the agreement in principle a bit over a month ago now. So we're hearing from both sides that it's progressing well. Final text is starting to come together with good speed, and very hopeful of hearing of that finalisation in the next month or so. Following that, we'll obviously get a legal scrub and make sure that everything's exactly as it should be in complying with domestic laws and all of those sorts of things. And still, my view is looking for a signing potentially when Scott Morrison visits the UK for COP26 or thereabouts. So, that's the back end of this year, and looking at, as I think I said last time I was on the show, probably coming into force middle of next year, which would be terrific.
David, always enjoy you coming on the program. Thanks for giving us your time.
My pleasure, Tim. Thank you.